Hello again. I'm Ken Kinter, and welcome to day 33 of my leukemia journey. Um, Today was a difficult one. It was a little mixed. I had expectations, and that's often a bad sign. I thought today was going to be nice and easy. I got my new port put in, which I'm not going to show you. It really hurts. So I'll show it another time once it settles down a little. So I thought I was just going to go in and get get an infusion, see the doc, and get out. And that is what happened. What I hadn't planned on was still just dealing with a lot of pain. Even with the port, the draws are still painful. You feel the needle going into your chest. When they say little pinch, it's not so little. And now it's like right in your chest instead of in your arm. So got a little woozy after that, and I think I'm going to be one of those people they draw from a reclining chair from now on, just because I'm a pain in the ass now to draw, even with a port, which apparently there are others as well. So I don't feel that bad about it, but that's how it is. The rest of that part went okay. There was a lot of good news. Good news number one. I'm technically not neutropenic anymore. That can change at any point, but that means we can get the doggy back. So I very much, in fact, the nurse practitioner wondered why we didn't have the dog to begin with, because lots of people going through what I'm going through have pets, multiple pets, and we just have the one dog. But that's another issue. So Miska comes back tomorrow. So you will probably get to see a lot of Miska going on. And like I said a couple weeks ago, Miska was one of the main things that I wanted to come home and see. That's part of home, dog. And of course, having her leave when I came home was the hardest part of coming home. So that's going to be nice to fix. I also got limited permission to, be able to have some interactions with people or be able to get out, or I'm not doing crowds or anything like that, but either the ability to eat outside food within with conditions. But the white blood cells came up, things came up. So I have the vestiges of a immune system now. And next week I go in Monday, so probably Thursday, for what is officially known as round 1B of chemo. So we'll be going right back in this again. So they'll burn the field again. So lots of good news there. Walked out of the hospital very psyched. And that's when the headache came on. And I had a sinus headache yesterday, head to ears. And this one wasn't that. This was another one. I don't know if it was the oncologist says blame the chemo. So you know what? I'm blaming the chemo for this headache. It's one of the worst ones I had. Not as bad as yesterday's, but bad. So that sort of rendered me. Now, truth be told, after we did the long, brutal day yesterday, did not get much sleep. I had to sleep sitting up, which I did for half the night. Quality of sleep was low. Quantity of sleep was low because we had to be back in early today. So when we were there and I got permission to eat Mexican food, which is my favorite, I immediately started looking up places and found a place, and I was all stoked. And by the time I got out of there and got in the car, I was like, I need to go home and I need to go to sleep. And by the time the headache was done with me, I mean, I went upstairs with jacket and shoes on. I didn't even pretend. I was like to bed. Slept for about an hour and a half. That did it for a little while, but it didn't really do it for long. It came rare and right back again. My wife, I'm going to say, made me go out for ice cream. It was the right idea. I just would have sat and been a bum on the couch the whole night. So it was good to get out. It was right around a little after sunset. So it was pretty to be out. And it was just nice to be out in the world doing something normal. But the headache came back. But between Tylenol, a warm compress, and a little caffeine, it's still there, but it's not debilitating. There's just a line. There's just I'm not a big headache person, but there's just a certain point where beyond which I just feel incapacitated. I told PJ tonight, who's in the background, but requesting to stay in the background. So we're going to keep her there. Even though I should be giving her lots of props and credit for all the good care she's taking care of me, but we'll save that for another time. And you've heard it already. There's just a certain point, and those of you who've had migraines probably know this a whole lot better than I do, where everything feels like an assault. A light feels like an assault. The sound feels like an assault. Somebody in your personal space feels like an assault. And just everything has to go. Everything has to get away. And I was dealing with that a lot of all day yesterday. I had this procedure to go through. I had to have this port put in, and I just couldn't stand to have anything near me. And fortunately, through sitting down in, it's not invasive radiology. What is it? I don't know what it's called. IR, they call it. Interventional radiology. I don't even know. I keep getting it wrong. They had me down there for hours waiting. And the good news of that was the headache passed. So that I was able to just, go through the procedure. But today, man, it just wrecked the night. I didn't know what to do. Whether try to sleep it off. I hate taking Tylenol. And I know my liver and my kidneys are going to get beat up on next week. So I'm trying to save them. Look, if I'm going to wreck my liver, I'd rather drink beer than take Tylenol, but I know those aren't equivalents. But anyway, so I've got a weekend off, which I'm very much looking forward to before going in the hospital. And we've planned a couple of things, and I just hope, the headache stays away so that I can enjoy these things. One of them is going to be the dog, obviously. I'd love to get some decent Mexican food in me before I get to the hospital and get hospital food again. Yay. Their hospital food isn't awful, but there's only so good hospital food gets, right? There's a ceiling. So that's been most of today. The introspective part of today is I've been doing a one day at a time, very myopic view of treatment. And that has been a survival skill for me. Just the next procedure, the next thing, don't worry about anything else. And as such, I've avoided researching leukemia. I've avoided researching other people's experiences. There's a part of me that questions now whether that is a good long-term strategy or whether that was a good short-term strategy. There's part of me that says don't fix what ain't broke, because so far everything's been working, so keep going. But I've always done battle with this, how helpful goals are as opposed to daily practice. So I'm sitting here right now, and I've wrapped up session 1A of chemo, and there are 4 stages. So there's 1A, 1B, 2A, 2B, 3A, 3B, 4A, 4B. So there's a total of 8. Why they just don't do 1 through 8? Don't ask me these questions. So I'm real early on in the process. I just wrapped 1A. I'm going to be doing 1B next week. And each one of these cycles is 21 days. So this is like a whole summer of this. And got my first glimpse at that horizon, first real glimpse, like accepting it, beginning of accepting it. And I was just like, oh my God, this is like, I guess I got to look at the journey of 1,000 miles instead of the single step. And I've been focusing on the single step. There's part of me that thinks that that's better. That's almost an AA philosophy to this, just the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. But it's hard not to look up, where's the far side of the pool? Where's the end of this? That's hard to do. And that's something I have to figure out as I go, whether I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing as I've been doing it, or, or change, move into what my friend Nick called the, adopting the marathon mentality as opposed to the, the sprint. I think I've probably been thinking more of this more in terms of the sprint. And that's going to probably need to change. But I don't know. It's nice to just have one thing to worry about, just put the next thing in front of you, do it. So I also overheard somebody, because the clinic area, everybody hears what everybody's talking about. There's no HIPAA back there. You walk out knowing everybody's names and dates of birth and their story. And I heard a gentleman who was talking about just how tired he was. He was just so tired of dealing with the pain. And this is a guy who's apparently been in this game a long time, and he's on a lot of painkillers and he's on a lot of this. And he talked about how he still has good days, but he mostly has bad days. He's tired, just tired of the fight. And I was trying not to listen and totally enwrapped by it at the exact same time because I'm nosy. So that was interesting to kind of take into, but I also kind of see that as a distraction. Again, lots of calls and lots of support from everybody. I can barely return. I'm perpetually behind on calls, texts, and emails. And hopefully this weekend I'll catch up. I want to finish, barring any headaches, which is the only thing that really stops me from functioning on a minimal basis, getting my grading done, getting caught up with everybody, because I hate to leave people hanging, especially when the purpose for their calls, how I'm doing, and just get in the best possible headspace for a 4-day admission. I know I can do it. I did 7 days unscheduled when I felt like absolute crap and passed out in the doorway. So I can do 4. I mean, if I'm walking in the door like I am now, where my biggest problem is a headache, I'll make it through those days, and come out the other side of this. So that's kind of where things are. So the news is mostly good. I think just it takes a little while for the side effects of chemo to kick in, as is obvious by my fantastic hairstyle, but also by these persistent headaches. But the other good news is it really hasn't manifested in the form of nausea or vomiting or anything like that. I'm still losing weight despite eating well. Actually eating a lot healthier than I usually eat. But so that part's been okay. So the basics are good and we plow on, and that's kind of how that's going to go. So the weekend should be unremarkable, but you never know. So I'll give updates over the weekend, and then we get around to Monday. I see you sneaking around back there. We see you. That's my wife, PJ, by the way, who I keep talking about. She's working hard, and I told her not to stop working just because I'm doing this dopey thing. So, anyway, so I am going to go to bed because I am probably still behind on sleep, and I'm really hoping I can sleep away this headache and this lovely boob pain that I've picked up since yesterday. I'll talk more about the port and all that stuff over the weekend, because hopefully there won't be any real crazy updates. And of course, everybody will get to meet Miska tomorrow, which would be wonderful. So have a good night. Peace. Talk to you then. Bye-bye.